Hello everybody and welcome to this tournament playthrough video for Pro and Expert Division with variable wins. In this video I will go through all the holes that you will be playing in the tournament. Follow along with the playthrough information that you can find here on the side. That's club information, ball information, also when it comes to elevation, club distance and stuff like that. If you don't want to follow that, you don't have to if you don't want to, but there's always a plan behind it. Now, let's enjoy the video and go to hole number one. Hole number one, we are doing a QB start with a power 6 ball. We are setting up with the inner ring to be by the rough line. You can see that I'm then using a 2 left spin and the max top spin with the QB, which is 5 bars of top spin. If you do not have 5 bars of top spin with your QB, you can as equally well set that with the driver that you're swapping to. Now, I'm using an Apocalypse, but you can here as equally well use an Extra Mile, a Thor's Hammer, or an Apocalypse in that instance, because the only thing that matters is that the club has more power than the quarterback and also has a 5 top spin as per minimum. Adjust max plus 10, and then after that we're going max over power with a slow needle to get this ball to the green. Have in mind that the top spin amount will vary depending on what type of wind direction you have off tee. 5 topspin will work really well in tailwind, but once you do get more crosswind, you have to increase, and if you do get some headwind, you need to increase as well. But hole number one is definitely a chance of the Jubilee Grow to get yourself to the green and to start off with a nice little eagle. For hole number 5, this is a tough par 5, and we do have some tailwind, which is a pleasant surprise. In headwind, this hole can be very hard, and I feel like it's hard enough when we are having tailwind. P10 NMT, we are doing 6 top spin and 2 left spin using our Berserker ball or any other ball that do have similar stats to that. So P10, side spin 4 plus, wind 2. Adjust max plus 20 P0. Once we have adjusted, we are pushing up. So we're pushing up 3 rings for a poke 8, 2.7 rings for a poke 7, 2.4 rings for a poke 6, 2.6 rings for a poke 5, and 4 rings for a poke 4. 0.4 ball of left curl together with max overpower with a completely slow needle. The intention with this play is to bounce on the fairway with the first bounce, then into the rough and roll out. Either you have a dead bounce or you have a rollout like you can see there in the video. The preferred rollout is to have this one and to be between 435 and 440 yards. But if you have a shorter drive than that, then you need to pay attention to the info box that is on the slide, because there will be a thing that slightly differs there. I can mention that here on the second shot. We are first and foremost doing a top white ring pin check, where the white ring is touching the pin. And we're moving back to find the aim point. We're having top of the yellow ring to be by the rough line, second bounce to be in line with the line between the dark and the bright green square row. Applying spins to get the ball guideline 1 green square through the hole if you do have the drive that is between 435 and 440 yards. If you don't have that drive and you do have the shorter drive that I spoke about, then you need to have the ball guideline left of the cup, still being 1 green square past, but left of the cup. Adjust from plus 5 and plus 6 for Grizzly 9, which is then plus 8 and plus 9 for Grizzly 8. Then we're doing 50% slider, plus 10% elevation, P10 numbers. No underpower, no overpower here. We center ball, clipping the rough, roll up, dropping for a beautiful albatross here on hole number 5. On hole number 8, we have seen many times that we can blast the ball over the rough on the left-hand side, and that is like a big boy play, whereof if you do have higher level clubs, then you can, with either with some topspin boost or just without topspin boost, even in headwind, get yourself over to get close to green. And obviously if you have that possibility with your club and the ball, then do that, because it's going to be much easier than having to lay up. But always trying to have the playthroughs in a way so everyone could follow, even though it may be a bit of a conservative way sometimes. Sometimes I go the more aggressive way, as you all know as well. QB at P6 max rest. I like to use the QB to find and establish a firm max line when we do have a headwind, to then swap to a club with more power. Now, you don't have to play with Apocalypse here. You can play with Extra Mile, Thor's Hammer, or any other driver that do have at least the 5 bars of topspin. Maybe a little bit too close to the rough line to be, you know, honest. And we can move obviously more right and use a little bit less side spin if we move so. Like, max plus 10 is the adjustment, and this is going to leave us up for a second shot with our long iron, which in this case is going to be our Grizzly. Grizzly here, we are either going to do a rough bump or we're going to bounce on the fairway. Now you can see me in this replay looking around a little bit to see if we can find any really super good spots, but can't really find that. And you can see that the trees are also covering the view with the ball guideline, which obviously is not ultimate. You can go up the bank and roll back in, and you can, you know, you can go directly at it, you can bounce on the fairway. So many different ways of attacking the pin here that in the end you're gonna have to just decide for what suits you the best. More side spin, then you can attack the pin directly with the ball guideline and such. But I decide to go with the most conservative way in the end, bouncing on the pad and then aiming short towards the pin. The reason I aim short is, once again, we do have a little bit of tailwind, and we can't aim at the hole or through the hole because we will come in too hot. We need to let the ball have the speed to drop, not just hitting the pin and out, for example. Bounces on the fairway down, and here I'm missing a little bit on the left hand side, just need a little bit more adjustment. But there you can see the many different ways you can go about it if you feel that you're forced to lay up. But I can't stress that enough. If you have the possibility to blast it, and obviously if the wind is favorable off tee, having tailwind and such like that, then you should be blasting it and trying to get yourself as close to the green possible, because that could simplify getting an eagle here massively. For hole number 2, we have 2 alternatives in the guide. You will see one of them, and this is our double bounce on the approach, and the other one is a direct rough bump. Starting at rock at P6 NMT, setting 2.8 topspin and 1 left spin. Adjust is going to be max plus 15 P6 numbers, and this with the rock. We are not playing with any other club. Make sure to have the sniper packed in your bag, as we are using sniper on the approach. Center the ball and hit perfect, and we're looking to be somewhere between 352 to 357 yards. For those of you that do want to play with another ball, you can do so, and you can swap to any sort of P7, 8, 9 or 10 ball after you have made your adjustment. Second shot, we do play with our sniper, and we are going to have a look at our plus yardage when it's our turn. You can see we have a plus 5 yard there, and that's what we're going to refer to as well to our adjust. 2 top spin and 1 left spin. And now you can see that Paul is backing up with his target here to have the ball guideline 2 green squares through the hole, having the second bounce to end up fairly high up into the rough, or at least when the aim is being done. We play 1-1 here with sniper, that's mid plus 10 P6 numbers, but 1-1, meaning for 6.1 miles per hour, we play 6.1 rings. Last piece of the puzzle we do just before circle break on the power, together with some curl if we deem it necessary. The ball clips the rough and rolls up, dropping dead center for the albatross. What you need to have in mind here as well is that you can play with any wind 6 to wind 8 balls. Wind 6, wind 7, wind 8 is possible here, so it doesn't have to be a wind 8 ball, as you can see here in the video. If you do enjoy the video, don't hesitate to hit the thumbs up button, also subscribe to the channel and turn on the notification. And for those of you that do want to take the next step in your game, sign up to our Ultimate Tournament Text Guides on patreon.com/golf/Tommy. Learn how to play properly in tournaments with the free-to-play ball alternatives and paid ball alternatives using our Premium Guide, Expert and or Master Division. Last but not least, Quick 9, new season to come, season 87. Make sure to check out all the events that we are doing on patreon.com/DCTQuick9. You have the link to that in the description down below. Now, let's move on into the video. Hole number 4, and we are going to send it. We have a beautiful wind here, and this is a good chance for a hole-in-one, which Grant will display here in this video. We are starting by stretching out to max, and here you can see that he is stretching out, looking at the target from the side. And the reason he's doing that is to have a better view on how the ring is positioned by the bunker. Because for Apocalypse level 5 and 6, we shall have 60% of the blue ring overlapping into the bunker. With Apoc 7, 30% blue ring overlapping. Apoc 4, 50% of the white ring overlapping. And then with Apocalypse level 8, we have blue ring by the bunker. It's gonna be 1.8 backspin for Apocalypse level 4 users and 2 backspin for Apocalypse level 5 plus users. Adjust max plus 20 P0. If you have a POC 4, you're pushing up 11 yards, not rings, yards. If you are an APOC 5 plus user, you are going to push up 5 yards after adjustment instead. The intention with this play is to roll up the bank and then fall down into the hole, or as worst, to get yourself a nice little eagle. Hole number 9. Here I will say already here that I will go on this hole to show you the absolute best chance for a drop. That means that we're going to pack the Cataclysm already from a start to allow ourselves to play with a lot of topspin on the approach. If we don't have the Cataclysm, the big dog is definitely a club to go with, or the Horizon. Starting at P6 max rest, looking at 3 topspin and 3 left spin. Adjust max plus 15, and once we have adjusted, we are in that case trying to push the ball within a certain range of yards. And what I mean with that is, like, to be able to play the second shot successfully, we need to be consistent with the drive. That doesn't matter, like, the thing that I want you to avoid is to one time be like 320 yards and one time 350 yards. We want to concentrate the drive distance to, in this case, for this particular shot, to be somewhere around 360 to 370 yards. Second shot, now, if you do want to go super conservative, then you use the massive fairway on the left to bounce up towards the pin. If you do want to attack the pin for the best chance for an albatross, then we are going to play a rough bump. And to play this rough bump, you need to have a decent chunk of topspin, otherwise you will not reach towards the hole. So I'm aiming with the ball guideline left of the bunker. Ball guideline is pointing slightly short of the hole. Adjust here is going to be 5% elevation, and then obviously whatever design club distance that we're looking into. Here the elevation is not as important. The important part obviously is that the whole setup kind of works together, meaning that we are not going to put this ball in the bunker, for an example, or we are not going to stay in the rough or coming in too hot and stuff like that. Basically general logic that we do have on every single shot that we're playing. Perfect ball, we hit the rough and we roll down the green and dropping nicely dead center for the albatross. It may look complex, but trust me on this, it's not as complex as it looks. The important part though for me here for Jubilee Grove hole number 9 is to give you a look at what I believe is the best possible chance for an albatross. But for those of you that has been listening to my voiceover can also hear that there's nothing wrong by playing it more conservative, by using whatever wood club you want, meaning you can play with a sniper, to land on the fairway to the left of the rough, to use right spin and attack the pin from there. It's going to be a less percentage chance when it comes to dropping it, but you will have, you know, no issue at all to play with massive mistakes and still secure the eagle. For the drive here on hole number 1, we are starting with our Apocalypse level 4 plus. We are then going to box in our blue rings with Apocalypse level 8, so it's blue ring by the sand and blue ring by the rough. When it comes to Apocalypse level 7, blue ring is overlapping the rough, and then Apoc 5 and 6, 40% blue ring overlapping, and Apoc 4 is 60% blue ring overlapping, then the bunker and the rough. 5.8 top spin and 1 right spin. Adjust is going to be max plus 20p0. For those of you that have the pleasure to play with an Apocalypse level 8, can play them 1 to 1, so 7.7 rings for 7.7 miles per hour. Half a ball of right curl just before circle drop. We're looking to bounce over the right hand side bunker to fall down towards a thorn on the approach. The thorn here is a little bit special, right? The reason this is a little bit special is that we are going to use a max backspin play. The reason we're doing that is because it's a better spot to play into, but also when it comes to bouncing on the fairway before the green, is definitely not something that has brought consistency in the past. Max backspin, 1 right spin. We are rotating the screen to look at it from this perspective. This helps us being more accurate with how we are putting the ball guideline. Adjust is going to be 46% slider, plus 85% elevation, P10 numbers, and that is from plus 3 yards. We're adding and subtracting 0.1 for every yard. You're seeing as well that it's a Kingslayer being played by Paul, and that's not because you must play with a Kingslayer. You can play with any P4 plus, side spin 2 plus, wind 6 to wind 8 balls. So wind 6, 7 and 8 can play here. So it's up to you to decide what you want to do. Hole number 5 of Jubilee Grow. Here we are starting at P6 max rest. And here you can see I'm setting 3 right spin and 5 top spin. So this is a play that you can play with as always. When it comes to my playthroughs, you can play with very low level drivers if you would so like. Have in mind though that you will have to have somewhere around 1 to 1.5 ball of right curl, which is definitely then going to make Apocalypse to be the preferred option, even though it might be just in level 1. Adjust max plus 10. And we're trying to cut the corner around the trees to land nicely here on the fairway. On the second shot, we are going to try to find a good spot with our sniper. And that could be easier said than done, because there are many bumps on this fairway. And first, I'm trying to find a spot a little bit higher up, but kind of realizes then if you look at the ball guideline now, when I'm setting, you see how it flickers there when I'm trying to set the correct spin or the spin that I want to have. So I'm then moving up and respinning to allow myself to be a little bit more consistent. What you need to have in mind is when you do have a tailwind on the second shot, the ball guideline will be longer than what it shows, meaning that the ball will have a longer air time already from, you know, when you take the shot to the first bounce, then to the second bounce, etc. So you have to leave the ball guideline short. But that's also the same type of logic as when it comes to the headwind, as but the opposite in that way, that the ball guideline will be compressed and the ball will not have enough push from the wind, and therefore you will have to leave it like through the hole instead. Crosswind is obviously easier when it comes to the spins, because then you can rely on the ball guideline in a much easier way. Many different ways of playing this second shot, but in the end what matters is find yourself a way to attack the pin, and think about what I said about tailwind and headwind. For the drive here in hole number 7, our free-to-play ball alternative, P6 NMT. And then we are applying the spins, which is 3 left spin and 5.5 bar top spin, as you can see Paul doing here in the video. We are making the adjustment, which is max plus 20p0. And once we have done that, we will be applying some curl together with a little bit of overpower. You may wonder why we are using overpower in a scenario like this. The reason for that is if you're not having fancy grid lines, it's very hard to know if you are in overpower or in underpower when you're using curl. So when we are using curl, and that's always, when it comes to the content we are creating, we're always doing circle drop, or just before circle drop, or we are doing max. This to give everyone, regardless if they have great lines or not, a way of following the that type of technique in the correct possible way. We do want to be somewhere between 355 and 360. Second shot, we play with our thorn. Here we're going to apply 2 backspin and 2 right spin. But before we are doing that, we are doing a bottom blue back rough check. A lot of words, as you can hear, but where the rough meets the fairway. Then we're applying the 2 backspin and 2 right spin. We make the adjustment that is from +3 and +4 check is 36% slider plus 10% elevation, P6 numbers. Then in the end, it's all about hitting perfect to get yourself the drop. However though, if you do want to send it, you can do so as well. If you have access to our guides, you do have an alternative where we are sending it to green as well. And that's, of course, going to simplify this hole immensely. Thank you everybody for watching this playthrough video with variable wins for Pro and Expert division for the upcoming tournament. If you enjoyed it, don't hesitate to hit the thumbs up button on your way out. Good luck in the tournament.